At Lonsdale Street Studio, we believe in the power of storytelling to connect people and create change. That's why we're proud to be the production partner for this Running for Resilience podcast.
Today on the R4R podcast, we've got none other than Ben Gathercole, CEO of Menslink, all-round good bloke. I just thought I'd start...
And sorry, Canberra's most feared triathlon coach.
Once
was, yes.
Once was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most...
Allegedly.
Yes, allegedly.
Yeah.
What, ran hard sessions?
Never.
Or just yelled?
No, never. None
There's
of
a few triathletes I know beg to differ.
that they're still scarred.
Yeah, you force people to do breaststroke in the freestyle league?
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that, boys.
We're
We're
not talking
about R4R.
It is, and
Menslink.
Menslink. And on that note, I thought I'd sort of go back to when we were asked by you to talk at the big night out. And one of the things that I said was that, you know, the genesis of R4R is that I lost my dad when I was 18. And so I know what it's like to have a great role model, but I think I also know what it's like to have a void, you know, where that role model, because my grandparents died before that. So it's like I still have this void of a male role model. So I feel like I can appreciate the value that Menslink provides.
I can't agree any more than that. I mean, what the mentorship that we provide to young fellas that don't have that male role model in their life is incredibly valuable. 2-year program for us. The results that we see out of it, we just see young fellas just grow. With people just willing to walk the journey with them. There's nothing hard about it. There's nothing magic. It's just being there and being part of somebody's life.
What is the growth though? Like phrase, like not obviously height.
Yeah, well, it is height too because it's quite
physical development as
well.
Yeah,
it's all of those things. You know, we take a before and after photo. We've got a sign at the front of Menslink to take anything is possible. We'll take a photo of the young fella who's mentoring his mum, young fella mentor at the beginning and end. And so, yeah, you obviously see growth in stature, but you just see the, I guess, the confidence of the young fella start to come out, just growing into his skin and feeling more confident, just to be able to interact with everything that's going on in society.
So more self-belief and maybe like just interpersonal skills, a bit more belief in their ability to navigate society or life, or for lack of a better term.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the way that I phrase it from my perspective is when I grew up, I was lucky enough to have a lot of sport involved, a lot of social groups, all these sorts of things that you were the genesis of how you grew up and how you gained confidence and the things that you learnt. Unfortunately, a lot of fellas don't have that nowadays. So it's very easy just to be very isolated. In particular, a single parent household. And in particular, when people are working too long hours, housing's not an easy thing nowadays. Work's not an easy thing nowadays. So I'm not saying that wasn't the case in the past, but it's really difficult on people at the moment. So for us to provide that mentorship and that, just walking the journey with a young person is really important.
And a little bit separate from that person's life. I remember some of, I guess, role models that I, looking back, they were coaches in sport, or they were friends of friends' dads.
School teachers, coaches, people in society.
Team managers.
Triathlete coaches.
Yeah, triathlete coaches, all of the above. And it's funny that you mentioned that and everyone has a bit of a giggle about it. It's almost 2-3 times a week that I'll continue to get a call from those people and just to talk through, what do you think, coach? You know, this is happening in my life, or I'm really struggling with this, or I have an injury. How do you know? And it's not me changing that. It's just me listening, and that person just talking out their problem in a fairly trusted and neutral environment. And before I came down here today, I had a phone call. We just talked about it. So it's, to me, mentorship is a really important part of the journey, and it's something that I'm still involved with almost every day.
Did you, like, for people that don't know, Ben used to be the Brumbies team manager. For what years? 24, 15?
We went 15, 16, 17, three seasons.
So that's how Ben and I got to know each other.
Yep.
So you get a lot of calls from the triathlete coaches. Are the rugby players, do they call up asking for help, or are we a little bit more pig-headed or lost your phone number?
No, you'd be surprised.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The rugby, I mean, the fellas in rugby were fantastic. people in rugby are fantastic, as we all know. Great staff, really good people. Still connected to a lot of those people, and we still talk quite regularly. Whether it's just the day-to-day chinwag about who's going to win this weekend, or whether there's something deeper that might be going on. So I'm really fortunate to have that part of my life and those people in my life too. I'm still connected.
Where did you learn that skill? Is it just creating a safe space for people to be vulnerable and just share what's on their mind? Who taught you that, like that skill, or gave you the ability, or is it just a natural thing?
I've actually never been asked that. I guess I was lucky enough to grow up in those environments where those sort of processes were quite natural, obviously with my father and my mother being involved quite closely with my life. So to me, it just seemed relatively natural. I never had, like you were describing, Matt, I never had a void like that. So I was always able to have those mentors and learn from them. And then I guess learn how to put back in. I chose quite early in my career to be a professional coach. And that's just part of the skill set you learn as you go along.
Yeah. Because it leaves a mark, doesn't it? I think one of the reasons...
More than what you realise.
Yeah.
I still discount it, but I do now know in my current role, and as I get a little bit older, you do realise the mark that you leave, and you do realise the things that people share with you are quite life-changing, but people need to share that a little bit with you.
And important for them. Because whenever I have a big decision, even little decisions sometimes, I still think just almost reflexively, what would my dad say about this? Or, what would my mum say about this? Amongst, other people that I hold in high regard, I go, oh, what would they say in this position? And it leaves, when somebody, naturally so, like a parent is, like leaves an imprint on you, they become part of who you are moving forward.
It's like an affirmation. You're just confirming. You probably had the answer, but you sort of just want to roll through it in your mind, or have a chat to somebody that you trust and knows your history and what's sort of going on.
Yeah, and just a different perspective too, and just to be able to zoom out. But I know, and something that stuck with me from that night, the big night out, I can't remember his name. I think it might have been another Matt as well. He spoke.
We had a couple of mentors speak, and Matt was one of those.
I think it was Matt who you could tell when he was speaking how much he got out of it.
Yeah.
The other side of the coin. So we know that it leaves a lot of value for the young fellas that go through and all their networks, but the mentors.
Yeah, absolutely. And those mentors stay really tight, and those mentors stay really tight with Menslink over a long period of time. We've got mentors that are still involved and donate back their time. It might not be in the mentor program, but we've got some fellas that actually come and just donate their time as volunteers to do other parts of to help other parts of the organisation. So they stay connected, and they realise the benefits and what connection actually brings to their lives. And that's really important.
Yeah. I mean, and one thing you said on that night, Benny, was that Menslink was the gold standard in this sector. And I think we both meant what we said, because in order for a suicide-free Canberra to exist, I think it's fair to say that Menslink needs to be doing what it aims to do.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think, and I'd like to talk to you guys about this further, but educating young fellas has got to be one of the pathways. So one of the pathways into trying to achieve that goal. It's not the single pathway. You guys talk about suicide-free by 2033. Do we?
Well done. Yeah.
Suicide-free by 2033, which is quite a simplistic view on it. And I know that there's been a little bit of negative or some criticism around that. But the beauty of that is it is so simple, and it starts the conversation. And it doesn't matter what the conversation happens to be. It might be, look, Ben, I don't think we're going to make it by 2033. But the conversation then, so Ben would come back and go, well, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to change this? So it's actually the conversation starter. So the beauty of it is in its simplicity, and it brings people on the journey. So we all know to get a result, we need people on the journey. And
it's going to take all of Canberra.
Absolutely. And look, is it possible? I know you guys want me to say, yep, maybe. But the truth is, as I was saying, it's the message, it's the conversations that start.
100%.
And it's, yes, running on a Wednesday night or meeting a mate on a Friday morning, they're all components to how we might move to there. So Menslink providing education, mentoring, some counselling, it's just a small component of lots of things, because we know that death by suicide is quite complex. It's just not usually one thing that causes that. There's a multiple things that go on. So, as I said, the Suicide Free by 2033 is simplistic, but the beauty of it is the simplicity, and you guys should be commended for that. And I don't mind when people have a criticism of that, because it starts that conversation. It's like, well, what do we do then? You tell me how we go about it. And that person, we're not saying we have all the idea, all the collateral. It's not, we don't have the answer, but we're trying something. So what's your idea? Well, we might want to do whatever their idea happens to be. Could be a great idea. So that's sort of how I think about that, and that's how I see where Menslink fits in. And there'll be some great ideas, and there'll be some ideas that don't work out.
I think you're right. I think part of the beauty is it does start the conversation. It starts to get it going, and you start looking at it. Because my belief is that logically, I haven't been proven wrong yet, so I'm waiting for someone to come out. Because, like you said, even that, if somebody comes out and gives you, irrefutable proof that something isn't going to do it, it's like, well, thanks for saving me time. Let's focus on what we can do.
Yeah.
That each person no one's destined for it, and so if you extrapolate it, you can hopefully get to zero across the whole population.
Absolutely.
What does success for Menslink look like?
The simplistic notion that we help young men. It's pretty simple, really. That's what we do. That's success for us. So we're moving into a phase now where we've matured quite a bit in the last few years, and we're actually able to measure our impact of what our programs are doing. And so we're getting sort of these impact statements coming back that we're measuring, saying 4 out of 5 young fellows that we see in our programs report more able to talk about their mental health, and they feel better about their mental health. So if we're seeing 13 to 14,000 young people per year in a school environment through our education programs, and we're getting that sort of result, we know we're having a big impact. But it's more than that. So success is also enabling those young guys to ask for help when needed. Success is providing the mechanism to come and see us for counselling. And that counselling is free to young guys, which is an incredibly big barrier for young people. Our success is about providing mentorship for young guys that don't have that male role model. If we're providing all those services, then we're successful. Doesn't matter what the end number says. And we're very much moving to that phase now, because I come from a numbers background in terms of sports, like you win or lose, how many meters did we gain, how fast did you go, what was your heart rate, all these sorts of metrics, very number orientated. We won 22-12, whatever it happens to be. The truth is, the way I've matured in this role, we don't have to see more and more and more. We just want to be able to know the impact we're having on those young people that we're seeing is profound. And then they know how to continue to ask. And not only that, then they can look out. So it's like that multiplier effect. So if Ben knows how to look after his mates a little bit more, knows some of the things to say and the way to act and when to reach out to his mates, well, it's that multiplier. So we might have only seen 14,000 Bens, but if those 14,000 Bens are out in the community and they're doing our thing, wacko, then we're on.
You can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
So if you demonstrate how to help yourself and help others, other people can follow.
You have to demonstrate, but we have to teach. We have to educate too. And
to get that demonstration happening.
Yeah, exactly. And our staff, my boys, our ecosystem, our Menslink cohort are fantastic at being that person.
What, like, you're talking about numbers, and I know the mistake we certainly made last year was getting caught up in how many people that were coming to runs.
Yeah.
And because we said,
And I was the same, mate.
it's like, and that I don't think that is the right. It's the obvious metric R4R could say, oh, look at how many people that are coming to our runs, and aren't we having a great impact? But most of those people are fine. To be right, they're just coming for a run. But I'm curious to know, like, what would you think were some good metrics for us, and what are some other ones that I know you've got to look beyond metrics, but just as a rough guide for progress, what are some metrics that Menslink look at, and what's some you think we could look at beyond just total number of people rocking up to our events?
So first, let's just chat around the R4R situation. I think, the great success of run clubs around everywhere, there's a few things behind that maybe we can talk about, but it's actually not having to commit. It's just knowing that I can just come along on Wednesday night. I can call Maddie on Wednesday at 4:00, mate. I'm going for a run. Do you want to come? Yeah, let's go for a run. Like, it's this really low commitment and the low cost. And then the way that you guys do it with Run for R4R is it's inclusive. You don't have to be a good runner. It's very much like the Saturday morning running park run. Yeah, it's they do time it, but it's not a competitive environment per se. So I think you guys have hit a really good model there for inclusion, and inclusion's the first step. If you can have an organisation that's inclusive, bingo, you're on. But I think the way that I would think success is, like I think success for Menslink, it's those R4R champions out in the community. So they go back out in their community, and they might go to a work function. So, look, anyone want to come Wednesday night with me? It's a really good thing to do. I just need some support. I'm not travelling that well. And then inevitably you get 3 more. Hey, I'll come along. I come every Wednesday night and I listen and I watch to what people are doing. And it's a real community type environment. And it's not commonly about what the run is. It's actually catching up work. So there's some exercise, but it's also just that download in a really safe space. If there's one thing I've learned in particular with males and young males, if you ask them a direct question, you're probably not going to get a very good answer. So one of the things we say, it's commonly mum that brings a young fella to counselling for the first or second time. And then inevitably mum, as they leave the building, mum goes, how was counselling? Tell me what they said. How did it go? I can guarantee you the young bloke clams up.
Not going to come out.
But don't say a thing. Get in the car, sitting side by side, start driving home. That went really well, mum. I found that really good. Can we make another appointment? Don't ask anymore. Just move on there. And eventually, once you get home for dinner and the next day or two, it'll come out. And it's very much like when you go running with somebody. You don't often say too much, right? But once you've sort of shared the journey for a couple of Ks and you're back and the walls come down a little bit and you're inevitably sharing something. So the beauty of exercise, somebody by your side, sharing the journey is a really powerful thing for running for resilience. So I think success for you guys will be measured around running for resilience champions. I don't know, you guys have heard me speak about Menslink champions. We just had the Menslink business breakfast Tuesday morning. We had 500 people there. But for those 500 people to go back out in our community and talk about Menslink, what a great event. This guy spoke at the Menslink, he spoke about this. This is what we talked about. You go to soccer practice tonight as a volunteer coach. You see another parent there. You talk to those other parents about what Menslink does. Do you know that they offer some counselling and this, all this sort of stuff. So it's the growth that way from having a champion for your cause.
How do you groom's not the word, well, maybe it is the right word, but
No,
that's
not a good word.
Not in this space.
I move away from it.
Go back, build or grow those Menslink champions. How find them, or even just find them.
Yeah, look, I think there's a number of ways, and I'm getting better and better at describing what a Menslink champion is and asking for a Menslink champion. So asking you guys, can you be a Menslink champion? Oh, yeah, I can do that. Whereas previously I wouldn't have been confident enough to ask somebody to do that. We also need to be better as an organisation in describing what Menslink
That
is,
means
so you can be a Menslink champion.
Give them avenues.
Exactly. So at the business breakfast, we launched a 3.5-minute video that we'd just done about what Menslink, the servicing that we actually provide. So it's really clear. So people at that breakfast now know what our education does, what our mentoring does, and what our counselling does. Really clear. So it's very easy for you to walk away and go, that's pretty cool. Those guys are going all right. I'm happy to support that.
Can get behind it.
Yeah. So how do you do it? You ask. Well, firstly, you educate. So we let people know exactly what we're doing. Secondly, we ask. And then another big one for us in this not-for-profit space is to communicate to people where their effort and their money actually goes.
Connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people make charitable donations and they go outside of, for us, it's Canberra and region, but they go outside Canberra and region. And that leaves a lot of people with a bad taste in their mouth. Bad taste is not the right way. Whereas we're
So what do you mean? They take the charities go spend the money out of the region, or
Hands Across Canberra cite a stat. It's like 90% of Canberrans' donations don't go to Canberra or something like that.
So you
so donors are funding.
you
stuff
donate. You
outside of
might give $100 to Heart Foundation, but there's
They're
Heart
big.
Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or St. Vinny's. They do great work, but it's not in your area. So that's one of the things that we're really conscious of, to ensure that people feel like they're connected. We show the benefit of, or we show what's happening in the community.
Yeah, you certainly are, again, a gold standard of what we say, watering your own patch of grass.
Yeah.
And I think a recent example of that for you, and I know you're excited to talk about it, is the relationship you've formed with Master Builders ACT.
ACT. Yeah.
But to start that, I
Yep.
just want to give a couple quotes to kind of bring a bit of meaning to it, and a couple other great organisations that are in the same space and that we've crossed paths with. I Got You, founded by Leesa Mountford, who lost her son Joshua at just 25 years old. He worked in construction and had just been offered an apprenticeship the week he died. She said, "It shattered me. It was and it will be the worst phone call I'll ever receive. It destroyed who I was, really, as a mum. To a son, my only son." And then we've got the Healthy Tradie Project, founded by Pip Seldon, Yoga for Resilience, another great organisation. She started it in honour of her brother, who was a tradie, and I'll quote a TED talk. "It was just after midnight that my phone rang, a private number. I didn't answer, but not a minute later it rang again, and this time it was my brother. My brother never calls me in the middle of the night. I knew something was wrong. Bravely, but in a broken voice, he said, 'It's Dale. Dale has died by suicide.'" And I guess I just wanted to bring these examples here to hit home how important the work is, and particularly the work that you're trying to do in that sector.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're hard hitting, and unfortunately we hear those stories too often. And there's multiple stories from people we all know close to us. And it's very tough to hear that. And it confirms to you in your heart and soul why you actually do it. I get teary. Yeah. I think the stat, Barry Dubois, who spoke for us on Tuesday, spoke about his attempt at taking his own life, and his mate, a guy called Gaz, picked up that phone in the middle of the night and knew Barry was hurting, and Baz was sitting in his car out the front of his house, ready to take his own life, and for some reason Gary sensed this and rushed over. The 30-minute drive from where he was, this fellow was there in 20 minutes, and just held him and was just there for him. And that started Baz's healing. And Baz spoke about it at the breakfast to 500 people, and it's still, as you can tell, it's still moving to me. It's incredibly important. Baz is a tradie, was a developer, or is a developer, so he's been in that industry. So taking it back to our association with Muster Builders ACT, we've got a loose association with Muster Plumbers ACT. What we know from those stories, from lived experience, that apprentices, unfortunately, and the stat is pretty confronting, that apprentices are 2.5 times more likely to take their own life than what other young fellas their age are. So get your head around that. So apprentices are 2.5 times more likely to take their own life, death by suicide, than what other blokes are at their age. So we've got these 16, 17, 18-year-old guys finishing up school. They've had, they might not be as engaged at school as what an academic person, but they still have the school environment, everything that goes with the school. There's a start time, there's a finish time, there's a lunch time. There's a little bit of discipline, there's structure. There's a couple of mates there. Even if these guys didn't have mates and they were a bit isolated, you're still this structure. It's still going to school. And then all of a sudden they go out and become an apprentice. It's a really tough journey for a lot of young guys, and they don't really know how to reach out that help-seeking behaviour. And then you throw in a lot of the other things that might be happening at that stage of development, whether it happens to be gambling, drinking, drugs, porn, broken relationships. So all these more difficult things start to get dropped in that person's lap, and it becomes really overwhelming really fast. That's apart from the fact that you're not making a whole lot of money, and you might, there could be some problems within the home environment. Do you really have a house? Are you just living out of your ute? What's going on here? So when you start to think about those problems, it's pretty easy to realise that young guys are really at risk. So it's really important, I think. So it's nothing to do with our success. It's just important for organisations like Menslink to recognise that and support those guys through that period of time, and teach and support asking for help. And I've got nothing but credit for Anna from Muster Builders ACT. As soon as I met Anna at lunch about a year ago, and we just talked about it lightly, and Anna was like, we're doing it. There was no grand plan. She goes, we just have to help. And that's true. We just have to help. And we've got the perfect avenue. We're educators. We know what we're doing. We've got counsellors. They know what they're doing. So we can roll it out really quickly. So it's a really proud moment for us to do that.
And I think we see, you mentioned Anna, people are ready to help.
Yeah.
They want to help because they care. And I think what we just saw after those stories, and when you were talking about your experience with the speech in front of the 500, is it Baz, or what was his friend?
Barry Dubois.
Barry Dubois. You care. I can tell that you care quite deeply about this.
So it's the only way that, I've been very fortunate. So this is not about me, but I've been very fortunate in my life and my career. And I knew for me, it was my time to give back. But what does giving back look like? And it's not working for professional sporting teams. It's like I was able to do all that. It was fantastic. So it was really, for me, the community organisation and our community was important to me. And I was very fortunate that Menslink came at the same time that I was looking to. So, yeah, I care. Absolutely. And I was very fortunate to be able to find an avenue to put that. Because the truth is, I'm at the end of my professional career. I'm 60 now, so I don't have that many years.
And good Nick, BJ. I hope I'm as fit as you, and I'm 60.
Well, anyway, thank you. It's been cracking the whip. Somebody cracked the whip with me.
Caroline.
Yes, Caroline.
Good job, Caroline.
But yeah, it's really important to us. Yeah, and you go to those breakfasts, and everybody was moved by Barry, and Barry spoke at length, and it'll only be another week or two before we have the video out, and everybody can watch what Barry had to say.
I work in a co-working space with Jim Roy.
Jim Roy.
And Jim came in that morning on Tuesday after the breakfast, and just first thing he said, "Well, Benny, mate," in his Welsh accent. Well, there's breakfast. And he told about Barry's breathing, the breathing exercise.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to just elaborate on that?
So Barry is
Jimbo loved it.
So Barry's very Barry's had a tough journey through cancer and depression, and then his wife struggled, or they struggled with pregnancies, and all sorts of things happen. And then obviously with suicide. So it's a very difficult journey, and he's found lots of different methods through that. It's just not one simple method, but he's very holistic about his health now. One of those is breathing exercises, and I think he was talking about breathing out for a count of 8, in for a count of 4, out for a count of 7, in for a count of 4. So it's really just a mechanism. And you see plenty of sports teams nowadays doing it after a try and so forth. And it's actually just a mechanism just to slow everything down, calm the farm, so to speak, get some oxygen in, reoxygenate yourself. So there's lots of science behind it. But the reality is it's just calming the farms, just taking stock a little bit, take a breath. Yeah. He got 500 people in the room doing it, which is there was some really highly emotional parts of what he was talking about, and then there was some really parts that were more like the breathing